Brilliance Audio presents Purgatory Bay by Bryan Gruley, performed by Scott Merriman.
Miss, your license again, please, just to reconfirm.
The Michigan State Trooper standing over Jubilee was a rucksack of a man with jowls as pale and greasy as dinner pork chops, his eyes tiny bullets buried in his cheekbones. The smudged nameplate on his left breast pocket read, Christian. Jubilee, hungover, throat parched, head pounding, sat in an angle-iron chair with two high arms in the state police post at Lapeer, an hour north of Detroit. She had driven past the post 100 times, tapping her brakes at the sight of the blue and gold cruisers parked outside the low brick building. She had never been inside until 1 hour and 14 minutes before. "Reconfirming what, Officer Christian?" she said. Christian straightened, looking offended. Who's he to be offended? Jubilee thought. She had assumed that she was the victim there, although she didn't know of what because the cops wouldn't tell her anything.
Reconfirming your particulars, miss.
His voice was a high-pitched rasp, like when her late grandfather had spoken to her after coming off his ventilator.
I need your driver's license. We didn't get a good copy of it the first time. It's routine procedure.
They had rousted her from Tessa's house just after 6 a.m. All they would say was that she had to get her wallet and come with them immediately. "What is going on? Is something wrong?" Mrs. Flugel had asked repeatedly, to no avail. Jubilee had sat uncuffed in the back of the state police cruiser, siren blaring as it raced up M24, the speedometer creeping toward 100 miles per hour. She'd felt afraid, not because of the speed, but because the air inside the car seemed to have been drained of oxygen. The officers silently, implausibly angry, though they wouldn't answer her questions, wouldn't even look at her. At the post, they'd stuck her in a chair with a seat that made her have to keep scooching back and told her to stay put, as if she were still a child, not 17 years old and a high school senior recruited to play soccer goaltender at Princeton in the fall. "Why am I here, officer?" she asked.
Miss, I'm only going to ask for the license one more time.
Jubilee felt the cold, damp beating on the back of her neck, the nausea spreading in her gut. She wondered if the cops had called her parents, who were at the family cottage up north, a 3-hour drive away. Jubilee had stayed home in Clarkston for the weekend. Her mother had warned her not to go to any parties, and, of course, Jubilee had ignored her. She started humming, softly so the officer wouldn't hear, humming the song that had been playing in her head when Mrs. Flugel had woken her from drunken sleep, the uniformed officer standing incongruously in the door of Tessa's bedroom. All Jubilee could think was, "Oh shit, my dad is going to be pissed. Oh shit, they can't arrest me for drinking a few Corona Lights. Hell, Tessa was doing frigging Jaeger bombs with Bobby. Shit, Mom will not be happy."
Miss Rathman, Christian said, I need your license, please.
Jubilee kept humming as she dug in a pocket for the license. She had read that humming could keep you from puking. It seemed to have worked the night before, when she had thought she might barf in Bobby's half-bath off the kitchen. She might have sneaked a couple of Jaeger shots herself, and had started humming along with the song blaring outside the bathroom door. She didn't know the name of the song or the lyrics, but it had a bouncy chorus that was easy enough to hum, and she had not puked. "Here," she said, handing Christian her license. "Please don't lose it." He took the license and started to walk away. "Hey," Jubilee said, "could I at least call my parents?" Christian turned halfway back and hesitated before answering.
As we said, there's been a situation.
You didn't say anything about any situation.
We'll let you know when we know.
The cops had taken her cell phone. She remembered one nonsensical text she'd gotten when the party at Bobby's parents' house had just begun to rock, a little after midnight. It was from her younger sister, Kara. 2JUXKYAF 8983A. Jubilee figured she had raided their parents' liquor cabinet again. Kara never learned. "Can I just call my parents? They'll worry." The eyelids surrounding Christian's bullets narrowed. He canted his head, studying her anew.
"Tell me, Miss Rathman."
Christian held the license up in front of his face.
"Jubilee Magdalena Rathman."
He dropped the hand holding the license.
"Magdalena? Is that some sort of Italian thing? Rathman doesn't sound Italian."
"Excuse me?"
"You haven't yet blown into the breathalyzer this morning, have you, Jubilee Magdalena?"
"I wasn't driving, officer."
"Trooper,"
he said, before he walked away. The room smelled faintly of garlic. Christian crossed the tile floor to an office about 20 feet away. Jubilee felt an urge to walk over and open the door and scream, "Tell me what happened, damn it!" But she refused to be one of those girls who used hysteria as a crowbar. She watched the cops in the office. Christian, another man, and a uniformed woman who appeared to be in charge. The door was closed, but Jubilee could see through a window. Every few minutes another cop would walk past, ignoring her or giving her a sideways glance without really looking at her. She wondered if they'd been ordered not to engage her. A clock on the wall above the office said it was 7:38. Jubilee's parents would be awake by now, her mother putting the coffee on. Jubilee wished she had her phone, wondered if they knew where she was, if they had called, why the cops wouldn't put them through. In the office, the woman leaned her rump against a desk, hands on her hips, her face a mask of too much makeup glowing in the fluorescent light. A ring as big as a walnut engulfed her wedding finger. Next to her on the desk was a beer mug filled with pencils and pens, a stapler, and a small brass trophy in the shape of a star. Christian stood at a fax machine a few feet away, pages spewing into his open palms. The other male trooper stood with his back to the window, arms folded, nodding as the woman spoke. Every few seconds the woman would glance at Jubilee through the window. She looked concerned, though whether the concern was for Jubilee or something else, Jubilee couldn't tell. The pages kept churning out of the fax. She could just hear the dull click and whir, and Christian scooped them off one at a time, giving each a cursory look before placing them face down on a stack next to the machine. Then a page appeared to catch his attention. He stopped stacking, his eyebrows edging upward as he studied it. He touched a button on the machine, turned, and walked the page over to the woman. Jubilee leaned forward in the chair and saw the woman's eyes widen ever so slightly. She lifted her eyes toward Jubilee. Jubilee rose from the chair. The woman dropped the page and came off the desk, barking something at the cop who wasn't Christian. He spun toward Jubilee as she shoved the office door open and saw the woman's nameplate. Sergeant White. "Miss Rathman," he said, "you need to go back to your seat." "What's going on?" Jubilee addressed herself to White while pointing at the fax. "Show me." Christian reached across the desk for the page he'd given the woman.
"Here," he said.
"Christian, no," the woman said, stretching to grab his arm. She was too late. Christian dangled the black and white photograph for Jubilee to see. The picture showed a boy, almost entirely naked, splayed unnaturally on the edge of a pond. Jubilee knew the pond.
"This your brother?" Christian said. "Joshua, right?"
Jubilee felt the burble in her gut again, willed it back down, and without thinking snatched the brass star off the woman's desk. It was heavy, and one point of the star bored into Jubilee's palm, though she wouldn't notice until she was in the ambulance covered in blood, her own and Christian's. She lunged at him and snapped the trophy at his face, flinging her forearm out like she would to stop a soccer ball flying at her in the net. She was going for his nose, but the other male cop deflected her arm as he grabbed her. One of the star's points spiked Christian's right eye. He fell back against the fax machine, screaming as Jubilee crashed to the floor beneath the other cop, smelling his breath and sweat and the starch on his uniform, hearing him spit into her ear. "Get down, you little bitch! You're under arrest!"